An active period of weather is coming up as we move into the middle portion of February, and I think this time frame could support 1 to 2 powerful storm systems that could produce all kinds of weather. So we'll speak on that and just give you the details that we have as of right now, because this is pretty far out ahead of us. But I do want to start the video off by going over a winter weather event that will unfold over the next 36 hours or so across areas of the upper southeast and southern mid-Atlantic. So we'll cover everything and we'll round it off with today's weather. My name is Mitch. Good Wednesday morning. I hope you guys are doing awesome out there and having a wonderful week so far. Subscribe if you haven't, like the video if you like it, and if anybody has anything I can pray about or pray over, please put it in the comments below. Let's get rocking and rolling this morning. So let's go over the latest alerts. We do have winter weather advisories that we're waking up to across areas, or a good large section of North Carolina and a couple counties here in southeast VA. Now I could see these being extended a little bit further to the west across western sections of North Carolina, maybe a little bit into southern areas of VA, but right now this is where they have them, and this is for a little bit of freezing rain, a little bit of sleet, and a little bit of snow. So a little bit of everything when it comes to winter weather. So I could see, like I said, an expansion of some of this as we move over the next 6 to 12 hours if confidence increases one way or the other. So let's go over some short range models. We're going to start off with the HRRR model running around 1 p.m. this afternoon. Most of what's going on is just rain, but you're going to see how some things begin to change as we move deeper into the afternoon and evening hours. So hopefully you can see the town names, things like that pretty well on the borders of the states. But, you know, this run is saying as early as 4 p.m. this afternoon, we could begin to mix with a little bit of sleet, maybe a little bit of snow around the Greensboro area, but this is definitely not the main show as we move forward. I think we could get some snow flying around eastern areas of Tennessee, Knoxville, the Tri-Cities area, up to Bristol. Asheville could get a little bit of a wintry mix. And we're just seeing more winter colors on your map here. You know, the blues and the purples showing up in western areas of North Carolina, eastern areas of Tennessee. And it does show, I mean, around 7 p.m., some of this rain is already switching to some wet snow across northeast areas of North Carolina, southeast VA, Norfolk, and maybe just north of Raleigh. And then we start to move this into later tonight. It's around 11 p.m. I mean, check it out. We got some heavier bursts of snow, maybe some sleet mixing in across areas of North Carolina over here. I mean, and I could see this event overachieving for a couple areas. Maybe someone gets 1 to 2 inches of snow, and maybe you're only forecasting around a dusting to a half an inch for your area. But I do think as we get later in the evening, we could have, you know, more so gaps in the moisture here. But as we move forward, this run of the HRRR model, this is why I think we could have some winter weather advisories extending a little bit further west. Like some snow as far south as just, I mean, almost all the way to Spartanburg. I mean, Shelby, Gastonia, we got this sort of banding feature of snow from Asheville to Hickory to Greensboro to Danville. And just on and off wintry mix type stuff across eastern areas of North Carolina. And then everything kind of fizzles out and we start to wake up tomorrow. It's around 9 a.m. And, you know, it does show some flurries as far south as Atlanta. And I think this will be very possible. Even though, you know, maybe a little bit of sleet down to the Midlands of South Carolina. I think we'll just continue to have some snow showers across the triangle of North Carolina. And, I mean, heck, it even shows a little bit of blue here in my neck of the woods in Columbia. And you continue to move forward. And I think we're just going to kind of deal with this throughout most of the afternoon tomorrow across areas of eastern North Carolina. And in fact, it tries to enhance the moisture at the last second before it pulls off the coastline. And this is tomorrow evening and has just more of an enhancement of snow showers, maybe some sleet, maybe some freezing rain. Now, I know this didn't show freezing rain a lot, but I do think we'll have freezing rain out there. And in fact, 10 p.m. tomorrow, we still got just a touch of moisture left with some cold air, and tries to show some flurries drifting down to Florence around 1 a.m. Friday. So we'll kind of be dealing with sort of the leftovers of this moisture for quite some time. Now, if you do look at the RRFS-A model, that's a mouthful, but same kind of everything unfolding, mainly rain from, you know, Georgia up through the Carolinas to start to stop before the cold air moves in. Then once again, an area of winter weather breaking out around 4 p.m. across eastern areas of Kentucky, Tennessee. This model doesn't have the cold air worked in as fast, but we continue, and by the time we get into 7 p.m., I mean, we're getting just flat out winter weather across areas. Some snow, sleet mix up in the southern areas of VA. I mean, check out this wintry mix in eastern areas of Tennessee. Still snowing in eastern Kentucky. A little bit of snow in Virginia, southwest Virginia. A lot of moisture down here. The cold air trying to crash down into this. And by the time we get into 10 p.m., you can see just all out kind of a wintry mix between snow, sleet, and freezing rain up here And Norfolk, Raleigh is starting to switch to kind of some sleet, maybe some freezing rain. And then it wants to develop this banding feature, kind of like the HRRR model does. And this is why I think, like I said, we'll have the expansion west, maybe northwest of winter weather advisories. And it has just an all-out wintry mix later tonight. Snow, maybe just flat out snow from Hickory. I mean, maybe just north of Spartanburg, Charlotte, Rock Hill, maybe. And, we continue through tomorrow morning, and I think we'll have snow showers drifting around, maybe some freezing drizzle in certain areas. And, after that, it tries to enhance the moisture just like the HRRR model does tomorrow afternoon. And you can see some more rain, snow showers falling out here around Greenville, Goldsboro, points east. Jacksonville getting it, and we could even get some snow showers late tomorrow night across the Outer Banks. So I think this system has an opportunity to surprise some people and maybe overachieve. But as far as how much snow that we're forecasting here, I mean, right now they're just going for trace amounts across eastern Tennessee. But listen, I'm not going to sit here and tell you guys that you heard it here first, but I could see some areas getting a dusting to maybe an inch, where it's only calling for a trace in some of these regions. Now, half an inch is what they're calling for a good chunk of eastern Kentucky. I don't have you guys pulled up here, but here's West Virginia and western and southwestern areas of Virginia. You guys had a burst of snow last night in this region, but, a few tenths of an inch of snow to as much as an inch here in Blacksburg. It'll be enough to put a coating of snow on the ground for a lot of these areas. And we could get a little bit of freezing rain, but I'm not expecting much in this region. Now, this is the tricky area, guys, here in, the Piedmont of North Carolina. We just got that big snowstorm in this area, but I think someone will overachieve. I mean, watch out, Marion, Shelby, up to Hickory, Statesville. I think we could get a little bit of snow even mixing in as far south as Spartanburg, Rock Hill. So we'll see, but I mean, right now, Clemens about a half an inch, but I could see some of these areas overachieving, guys. I'm just saying, based off what we're seeing with short-range model guidance. And then we get into the Raleigh area. As of right now, calling for a few tenths of an inch of snow. I mean, that's enough to kind of put a layer of snow on everything. Not sure how much snow you guys still have left on the ground. I'm sure up over towards Greensboro and Lexington, where you guys got a foot and a half in certain regions, you still got plenty of snow and heaps and piles off in the parking lots and stuff. But anyways, a few tenths of an inch of snow in these areas. Someone could sneak around and get an inch and a half. And we're going to get a little bit of freezing rain. That's just a very light glaze, a few 1/100ths of an inch. Nothing too outrageous or crazy. And then we get into southeast VA and northeast North Carolina. This is where we can get a solid inch of snow in Franklin, Norfolk, Emporia, even Elizabeth City. For whatever reason, they don't have winter weather advisories up in Elizabeth City. I don't know what's up with that. But Okomack, 4/10ths of an inch. Richmond, 3/10ths of an inch. And then we could get just a little bit of freezing rain in this area, but I do think this will be mainly in North Carolina. And then we look at, eastern areas in North Carolina here. And, I mean, I could see a little bit of freezing rain in this area, but as far as snow, I would say watch out tomorrow afternoon, evening in this region right here. Not calling for anything right now, but, some short-range model runs want to show something in this area. But we are going to get a few 1/100ths of an inch of ice in this region, freezing rain. And remember, there's probably going to be some sleet mixing in with this too, but I don't think we're going to get accumulating sleet. But, Greenville almost going for almost a 1/10 of an inch of freezing rain. So that's definitely notable. Same thing with Williamston. So, and then we'll drop it down a little bit further south in the Wilmington area. Watch out near Lumberton. Maybe just a very, very small glaze of freezing rain. Not expecting any snow in this area whatsoever. Now, I do want to look at some of these short-range models. And now, remember, this is just 10-1, which, I mean, I could see this being 10-1 snowfall here. But I think that it's smart to show this because it does show the overachieving factor in this. But Johnson City has almost 2 inches of snow. Knoxville, almost an inch. Hickory drops over 2 inches of snow. And Greensboro, about an inch. Raleigh, 2 inches of snow. So it looks very bandy, too, just like the system we just dealt with. Charlotte, drops 1/10 of an inch and has this area, near kind of just south of Shelby County here. What is that, Cherokee? I think that's Cherokee County. I should know that. It's my state. But it's around an inch of snow. And it just has this band right here from Hickory to Greensboro up to Winston-Salem that drops like 2, as much as 3 inches of snow. And then you do look at the the, what is this? This is that RRFSA model here. This is just kind of a new model on the block. It's been doing decent lately. And it really has a solid band from, I mean, Charlotte all the way into southeast VA, where it drops anywhere from 1, and even has an area right here where it drops a half a foot of snow. Now, do I think that's going to happen? Absolutely not. But it does like the idea of the Tri-Cities area of Tennessee and the Southwest VA overachieving with this. So I think there's going to be some overachievers with this. So just want to spend a little bit of time on that. Now, let's talk about what's next. All right. I do think that we have an active period of weather coming up, but it's going to take a while to get to this period, this time frame. So let's start off with the central U.S. Let's look at the latest Euro, and this is 1 week from today, so next Wednesday morning, the 11th. Not a whole lot going on. We see a very amped up system flying into the Midwest. This is a warmer system, low pressure cutting, and this could bring some winter weather for areas of the upper Midwest and the Great Lakes region. We'll see what happens with that. And after that, we get to day 10, and there's a system moving into the eastern U.S. that gets going late. And then we see a deep digging trough right here with just a lot of northern stream energy associated with it. And that's something to watch right there. I don't know what it could do. We got to figure that all out. But that is a big punch of cold air right there that we're seeing. And this could bring some aggressive northern stream action. Could it link up with any southern stream energy? It doesn't on this run. But overall, the central U.S., there's nothing crazy unless you get way far out, then you start to see more active weather. But nothing to really show that kind of backs up my claim right at the beginning of the video, right? But if you look at the GFS, same thing, starting a week from today, we get into next Thursday, the 12th, and show some energy fizzling out there. And then we get into next Friday, the 13th, see a lot of moisture building up over the middle of the country, runs into some cold air here, and we have some snow. Breaking out across Missouri, getting into the Midwest. No reason to get hyper-focused on this, but turns into a winter storm when it moves further east. And then we got a punch of cold air behind it, and then we got energy flying around after that. So nothing too crazy, but you know, we started off in the eastern U.S. now, and I do want to mention a clipper that's going to dive in this Friday into Saturday. This is going to bring widespread snow across areas of the Ohio Valley, the Northeast, and then into the Central Apps. I do think we'll get a pretty aggressive northwest flow event across West Virginia, maybe even into Virginia, and then the northern areas, the mountains of Tennessee and North Carolina. And in fact, this clipper could be so aggressive. This is going to be a potent shot of cold air for the Northeast that this could bring some flurries as far south as North Carolina. We'll see what that does. And then we get into the weekend, and we get after that. Then we get into next week. Quiet weather, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little bit of rain, not a big deal. And then we got this snow event. We'll see if cold air press will make this go zonal instead of it continuing to cut like it does across the middle of the country, and it does. It's just a lot of rain across most of the country. Meets up with some cold air in the Northeast, and we got to watch day 10. This could be a winter storm for the Northeast. It's a lot of rain to the south, maybe even a little bit of severe weather, thunderstorm activity, which I'll mention here in a second. And then we got a deep digging trough at the end of this that's so aggressive with the northern stream, it actually tries to break out a little bit of snow in the Carolinas. And this is, next Sunday, like the 15th, not a forecast, but it does produce a pretty aggressive northwest flow event across the southern Apps and the central Apps here. And then after that, nothing to really speak on. And what about the GFS? Here comes that clipper this weekend. Get in the next week, there's another clipper that dives in. And then we got some cold air sort of trying to ooze down south. We get a 1 week from today. And it's quiet. And then here comes a big system. And this is the time frame that I keep mentioning. It's right in the middle of the month. For example, this is Valentine's Day. And has a low pressure kind of bubbling up here right across Tennessee and meeting up with some cold air, a little bit of cold air damming type stuff here. We got snow breaking out across Virginia, winter storm breaking out here. This is the way it verified. You can see that's a cold air damming event with ice all the way down to North Carolina. Big snowstorm on top of this. And then it turns into just looks like a blizzard around mid-month across the mid-Atlantic and the Northeast. Not saying that's a forecast, but something to watch. So just to kind of sum all that up, as far as the snow side of this time frame I'm watching, well, as you can tell, a lot of this stuff is dropping in northwest to southeast. So this is all clipper stuff to start off this. And then we start to move into the middle of the month. And you can see the snow axis, which, by the way, this is in 4-day periods, begins to ooze to the south just a little bit. In fact, it gets all the way down into the border of VA in North Carolina. But the main axis is up here in Canada and the Great Lakes region in the northeast. But you can see as we start to move into about the 14th to the 16th, the signal increases for areas of the mid-Atlantic, maybe the upper southeast a little bit. So I do think that's a time frame to watch even for winter weather. And you can look at the Euro AI ensemble also, and as we work our way into that time period, you can see an increased snow mean here across the northeast, and then eventually into the Midwest and the Great Lakes region, and then eventually all the way into the southern Appalachian Mountains, and even down to the Carolinas a little bit, Tennessee, Mid-South. And I do think this combines a little bit more than just snow. A lot of people are trying to figure out the Euro ensembles. The Euro AI ensembles and the GFS AI ensembles, and if it combines, it's always weird and glitchy. For example, it tries to show a little bit of snow down here in the Gulf, but anyways, depending on how everything sets up, there is a severe weather risk in this time frame with this active period of low pressures moving across the country. And what you're looking at here is dew points. And what I want you to just view this is, I want you to view the brown as dry air and any kind of green as moist air. We know some thunderstorms like moist air. So as we start off about a week from today, next week around the 11th, you can see a lot of green bubbling up across the southern sections of the country. This is between day 7 and day 10. And that is just warm air rising, a warm sector, a warm moist sector starting to bubble up to the north, covering up the entire deep south. And you just got to watch stuff like that. That's one of the first key things you watch when you're trying to sniff out a time frame that could support severe weather is dew points. And you can see how the dew points begin to rise into areas of the upper 50s and the 60s on this specific run of the Euro across the deep south. So something to watch for with that. Now, another way to look at this is the thunderstorm index. And this is a cool little output from WeatherBell. And starting off next Thursday, you can tell there's some type of storm system producing a lot of thunderstorms across the deep and mid-south. I mean, even all the way up into the Ohio Valley, but you really focus in on this area. So I do think we could have the return of severe weather across the deep south around the middle portion of the month as a lot of low pressures kind of cut across the country. I don't think this is going to support like southern sliders or anything like that where we get winter weather for the south. The pattern does not support that, but that is a signal right there for some thunderstorms across the south. Whether or not they'll be severe or an outbreak, we got to figure out all those details as we get closer. But you can see how the pattern evolves in this time frame. We get into the 13th, the 14th. You can see lower heights, lower pressure show up over the eastern half of the country. Now, you would think this is a good pattern for winter weather further south, but you see this big blob of blue across areas of western Canada and the northeastern section, the northwestern areas of the U.S. and the Pacific. This is basically messing up the pattern for the east. Now, I'm not complaining because honestly, you guys out west that are winter weather fans, you guys deserve a little bit of winter. It has not been much of a winter out west. So this trough will help you guys out, I think, a little bit. But this kind of messes up the cold air source for this trough right here because it's not able to slide down from the Arctic region because of this trough right here. But anyways, just focusing in on the bluer colors here across the central to eastern U.S., this is going to bring a period of unsettled weather. And who knows, maybe this time frame right here could support a winter storm for the northeast. But at the same time, you got a big, what we call negative PNA, a trough, dipping the jet, digging across the western U.S. to get things much more active as far as winter weather across the western U.S. But as far as today's weather, guys, we do have just a lot of moisture kind of streaming across the deep south into the southeast. And like I said in the beginning of the video, this is going to meet up with some cold air and bring a winter weather event across areas in North Carolina and Virginia. A little bit of snow flurry action across areas of the northeast, a little bit of energy diving down across the middle of the country. But all in all, it's not super active for a widespread region across the country. In fact, this rain right here is much needed. Watches, warnings, and advisories. We've already mentioned these winter weather advisories here. We got some dense fog across eastern Tennessee and surrounding areas, but everybody else is quiet. Now, the eastern U.S., we've already mentioned the winter weather event. We're going to get some rain that moves across southeast Georgia and eastern areas of the Carolinas and northern Florida today. We could maybe even get a thunderstorm in southern areas of Florida. But waking up tomorrow morning to some snow flying around across the Great Lakes region. And let's back this up a little bit. You can see that snow up here from my folks here in the UP, northern areas of Wisconsin, the lower areas of Michigan. Some snow moves in late tonight, and this will put a fresh coating of snow on everything, and this will dive all the way into the Midwest Ohio Valley tomorrow afternoon. The western U.S., it is quiet. There's nothing to speak on. I think that changes as we move a little bit deeper into February, though. Temperatures, not really extreme one way or the other, honestly. It's cooler. It's going to be a pretty chilly day across the Mid-South, I would say. 30s, 40s, so I would say that. But, once you get a little bit further south, 40s and 50s, and then it's light and below freezing, where it normally is this time of the year. And then out west, it's warmer than average. So, hey, that's all I got, guys. Thank y'all for tuning in. I know I don't have another devotion tonight. I'm in this morning, but I will get back to that tomorrow. The beginning of this week has been just me recuperating a little bit. I started soccer yesterday evening, and it wore me out. Just, you think you're in really good shape, and you go out there and you start juking and jiving with the kids, and you really realize that, okay, maybe you're not as young as you used to be. So we'll get back to all that starting tomorrow, and I'll get a consecutive amount of days going. I had somebody mention, Mitch, can you bring back the Bible verses and stuff? And I got you covered starting tomorrow. You guys hold me accountable. God bless all y'all. Have a wonderful day. And, we'll talk again soon.